Alright, welcome to video 2. Let's review real quick where we're at. So I'll go ahead and run this and pull it down onto my screen. Okay, so right now what we should have is a window that pops up. It's 800 by 600 right now, and we're drawing our guy. So our next goal is I'm going to get the cave kind of printed, and we'll see where we go from there. Our goals is create the world class. Actually, it's not the world class. I'm going to call it the cave class. So let me fix that. Alright, so create the cave class. Get the graphics printing and get toolbar working. And that might be a bit much. Okay, so I'm going to put on the toolbar, we will hope to get that working. And question marks don't work with this font. So I will change it to just say maybe. Alright, so maybe we will get the toolbar working, which is where we can put the different things in the cave. Alright, so first let's just create a new class. If I can get my mouse, there it is. Okay. Alright, so let's make sure we are going to be clicking on, our root package right here. com.mckelroy for me. New Java class. And I'm going to call this class cave. Hit OK. And we should have gotten a cave class like this. And it should be next to your main. Make sure it's next to your main up here. If it's not next to your main up here, then you can just drag and drop it. And when you do that, make sure you just drag and drop it onto the root package com.mckelroy or whatever you called your root package. Okay, so we're going to do that, and the way I'm going to be representing the cave is with integers. So we're going to make a private int tiles variable, and we might as well go ahead and create a boolean visible 2D array as well. And so tiles will hold what particular tile is in each location, whether it's a ground tile, a spider tile, a web tile, and stuff like that. And then the visible tile will let us know if the actual character can view the tile in the game. So let's go ahead and create some. We'll create these public static final int variables, where I'm going to just describe every kind of file type, and I'm going to make the ground 0, and we'll go from there. So we have pits, spiders. Let me move this to the side a bit. Spiders. We have a Wumpus. We have gold. And then I'll just use the spacebar to get over there. We have gold. We have wind. Oh, I'll do some different values for these. Just so we separate them from the values. So 0 through 4 are actual tile values. So there's actual pit, actual spider, actual Wumpus, actual gold. And then I just started with 10, 20, 30, 40 for like the hints. Alright, no real reason. It's just so that I can do like an if on these to say, like, if it's greater or equal than 10, then it's a hint, and if it's less than 10, then it's obviously like an actual tile that means something. Okay, we're going to pull our tiles in the images in here. So let's go ahead and make a path here as well. And I'm just going to go to main and copy that same path. They're in the same location. Okay, so we'll get that same path, and we know that path works. Okay, and then we're going to start just with the ground image. I should let that autocomplete and make sure we're pulling from Java FX. And we'll start with just the ground image, and we'll continue from there. All right. So let's create a constructor. And in this, I am going to just set this to a new int, which is 10 by 10. And this to a new Boolean, which is 10 by 10. Okay. So every value in my integer array is 0 right now, which is great, because 0 is going to be representing the ground. Right? So my cave should just be empty ground when it first starts, as long as I understand that I made ground here 0 for a reason, and everything will be false for visible, but we're not going to worry about visible quite yet. We'll program that a little bit later. Okay? So these are just private static variables that I'm going to use so that I can interchange them with integers. So instead of saying like, if tile 0, 1 is 0, draw a ground. If tile 2, 2 is 3, draw a Wumpus. Instead of that, okay, well, I might as well just show you. So it allows me to do things like this. I can say like, if tiles 2, 2. What we want to stay away from is things like this, because they're just hard to read and they're hard to debug if we get to a spot where things get complicated. So instead of doing something like this, we can now say those public static variables, which makes a lot more sense. If tiles 2, 2 is ground, or if it is glitter, just in code, it makes a lot more sense. That's literally the only point to these. They don't serve any purpose other than demystifying things where I say, if it's 1, and then when I look at my code later, or someone comes to look at my code, it's very confusing, I just say pit. And now it's very easily understood. Like, oh, you're checking if there's a pit. Okay, that's the only purpose to that. All right. So all of my tiles are zeros, which means they're grounds. And all of my Boolean visibles are false, which means it's all hidden. But like I said, we'll come to that later. All right. And let's go ahead and try and pull in this ground image. So we kind of know what to do with that. We did it before. File input stream equals new file input stream. We put our path and we append to it images, and then the image I want. And the image name for the ground, if we look here, is the ground tile.png. So let's go ahead and do that. Ground tile.png. Alright, so we try that. We got a semicolon there, and then we'll try to set the ground image to a new image from the input stream. And you'll notice we're going to get an error. If we hover over that error, it's going to say unhandled exception, Java IO file not found exception, right? And what exceptions are in Java, if you remember, is it just means that this might crash our program. And in Java, if Java knows something might crash our program, we need to do one of two things. Okay? Either we can declare that it throws an exception up here, although I don't know if we can do it on a constructor. I guess we can. And I got rid of the error. Exception is the root exception, right? It's the parent exception to every other exception. Okay? But notice here it says throws what? A file not found exception. So we can say throws file not found exception to be more precise. Okay? Or we can surround it in try catch blocks. So we can say try this. All right? And catch that file not found exception E, and then what we want to do in case that happens. All right, typically we just say e.print stack trace, and what that's going to do is if we crash, it's going to print, a standard error down here. It'll trace it, it'll put all the error stuff down here. Okay, but we could do more stuff if we wanted to, but we're not going to worry about that yet. So I got a cave, it's got tiles, visible. We got these public static variables just to help us. We got our path. We initialize those 2D arrays, and then we try and load this image. And we're going to stop there because, as we know, this could cause some problems, and we'll see if it crashes on us. So let's go back to main. Let me look at my notes up here. Okay, let's go back to main, and let's give ourselves a cave. So let's come right here, and let's create a cave object. And when this runs, it'll run the constructor code, which will attempt to load an image, and let's see if we crash. Hopefully yours is like mine, and we don't have a crash. So the fact that we don't have a crash means it's pulling in that ground tile perfectly, and we don't have to worry about it too much then. Okay, so let's let the cave handle its own drawing. So in cave, let's go ahead and create a method here where it draws itself onto the screen. Now, it's going to need something to draw itself. Okay, so the question is, what do we need to put here? What does the cave class need in order to draw? Well, the cave class needs what anything would need to draw, and that is a graphics context. The graphics context is the only thing that we can use to draw. We can draw images, lines, ovals. Okay, we kind of saw that last time. So we give ourselves a graphics context. Okay, that will be passed to us, and we draw. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through these tiles, which right now we know are all 0 because that's how they get initialized. And we are going to draw each of those tiles at a different location and try and tile a 10 by 10 grid of ground tiles here. So let's go ahead and do a for loop on tiles. And let's draw, using that graphics context, let's draw image. And let's do this correctly at first, I guess. Okay, we need to take a look at that tile. And if that current tile is ground, which we know it is at this point, but let's program it the right way. If that specific location is ground, then we will draw the ground image. And now my next question is, I need to know, kind of where I draw it. Okay? Well, to know that, let's look at the ground tile in graphics here. And you'll notice in the top right, let me zoom in. It'll tell you right here, it's 50 by 50. Okay, so it's a 50 by 50 PNG. Okay, so if I do something like this, and let's just start at I like to leave a little room, so let's start at 2020. And let's just draw this and see what happens. Okay, so let's call this method and draw the cave. And we want to draw it before our player, so our player goes on top of it. So let's go cave.draw, and we're going to pass in RGC. Now notice that RGC is declared right here, and when we call draw to that, it draws to the canvas. Okay, so we could have multiple graphics contexts that draw to different things, but for our project it's very simple. RGC draws to the canvas. So let's draw the cave and let's see what happens. Let's see what we get. Do we get anything? Okay, and we do get something. Let's take a look. We get a single tile. Well, what's actually happening is, as I'm sure you can imagine, we're drawing this at 2020 and we're drawing it 100 times. Okay, because we never change the location of the tile. So what we want to do is we want to kind of get this tile to, we start here and then we kind of have to move over. Now how do we move over here and by how much? Well, we move over to the right by 50 pixels because the tile itself is 50 pixels. So we have to come this way by 50 pixels. Okay, and how much do we move down? We move down by 50 pixels. Okay, so instead of just doing 2020 here, I need to add to it 50 pixels every time we go. Okay, so it's going to be what? I times 50. That's why I like to do row and column here. So let's do row and column here. Let's click on that, refactor if I can, or option, no, rename. How do I rename this? I'm on a Mac. I don't remember the change to it. It's like Shift F6 on PCs. Is it Option F6? Control F6? Command F6? Nope. Alright. Let's just rename this row. I'm going to go through the rows first. So I becomes row. J becomes column. Just because this next part is a little confusing when it comes to what I multiply 50 by. Okay? This is the X value. So X is going to move right, left to right. What moves left to right is actually columns. Okay, so a lot of people like to put row here because it's row column, but when we talk about X, Y's, to translate this to graphics, it is column row. Okay, so row and column are 0, so it's going to draw the ground image at 2020. Then column goes to 1, and the next one gets drawn at 20. Or sorry, column, it goes to 1. So column goes to 1, so the next one gets drawn at 70, but Y still stays 20. Then column goes to 2, and it draws at 120, but it stays at 20 here. All right, so this math is what's required to get it to tile. So let's run this and look at our results. It's pretty good. Okay, so you can kind of see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tiles across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tiles down. Now there could be something weird that happens, and that something weird is we could have transposed our code wrong. Okay, so it looks good, but they're all grounds. Okay, so for example, if I put, let's go 0, 1, 2. Okay, so at this location where my mouse is currently is what? Row 0, column 2. If I put a spider at 0, 2, will it appear here? Or did we mess up our code somehow and it appears here? Okay, so what we're going to do is just change one location and get the rest of the code working just to test to make sure the draw, which we think is working, is actually working. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in our other images. So we got ground image, and I'm just looking here at these, and I'll just create images for each of these. Okay, so we have ground image, we have a black image, we have a glitter image, a gold image, guy we don't have to worry about, pit image, spider image, and I'll keep going on the next line, stink image, web image, wind image, sorry, and Wumpus image. I kind of stopped for a second because I'm getting an error. I don't know why I got an error, briefly. Anyways, okay. So these are all our images, and we're going to go ahead and load all these images. They are going to be very similar to this line of code right here, these two lines. So we're going to keep redoing this. So I'm just going to copy and paste, except I don't need to declare the file input stream every time. Okay, so we just have input stream equals, and then let's go ahead and go in order. So let's pull in our black tile.png, and that will be our black image. And then I'll go ahead and copy this since it's more correct. And next we will go our glitter image. So glitter tile and glitter image. Next up is our gold. So gold tile, gold image. Next up is pit. So pit tile, pit image. We're at spider, so spider tile, spider image. Okay, now we are at so paste, and I'm at stink image. So stink tile, stink image, web, web tile, web image, wind, wind tile, wind image, and finally the Wumpus. So Wumpus tile, Wumpus image. And let's go ahead and run that. And we did not crash. We have no errors. So all those images are being loaded correctly. Okay. At this point, if you're still going, go ahead and pause this. I'm going to move on to looking at these images and drawing the correct one down below. Okay, so right here we are looking to see if it's ground, and we draw it. So let's just do the spider. And again, now that I'm here, I don't need to know that spider is 3. I don't even know what spider is right now. Okay, I don't need to know what the spider image is, like what number it relates to. I can just change this to spider. Okay, it turns out it's 2. I saw that little hint as I typed. But if it's a 2, then I draw the spider image. Okay, now I don't have a spider in my game right now, so let's go ahead and place a spider somewhere. Well, this should be an else if too. Okay, so we'll make that an else if. Let's go ahead and place a spider somewhere and see if the spider shows up at the correct location. Okay, so right here, after I make my tiles, this will just be temporary. Okay, so let's just go to, like I said, let's go to 0, 4 and put a spider. And again, I don't need to put a number, some cryptic number. It's very clear what I'm doing. I'm putting a spider at 0, 4. Okay, and let's see if it shows up at 0, 4. And there it is. 0 row, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4th column. Okay, so it looks like it works. What I would say is if we accidentally did row column in our multiplication here, and we run this, even though something might look right in the beginning, it leads to very strange results. See, we kind of mirrored our cave along this line right here, where everything's going to be mirrored. Every column is a row, every row is a column. So when I place something at 0, 4, it really looks like it's in 4, 0. Okay, so that is why it's column row right here. Okay, so I'm going to go in and create the rest of these. I'm just going to go in order. So glitter, well, I guess I'll do objects first. So spider, gold, draw a gold image. Wumpus, draw the Wumpus image. Spider, gold, Wumpus, and pit. And we'll do pit. And we'll draw the pit image. And then we'll go ahead and, even though we don't have it remotely working yet, we'll do the hints for each of these, okay? So spider has web, and that will be a web image. Gold glitters, and that will be the glitter image. Wumpus stink, and that will be the stink image. And what do I have left? Pits have wind, and that will be a wind image. Okay, so that's all of our images except our black image. And our black image will come into play when we have like a fog of war type thing for the player, which we have not worked on yet. So I go ahead and run that, and we are good to go. Our cave is working. Okay, we are perfect where we need to be. So we created that cave class. We got the graphics printing correctly. And we got the toolbar possibly working. I'm looking at, it's already a 26-minute video, so I think I'll leave the get toolbar working for video number 2. So right at this point, you should have this, and if we want to, you probably should come in here and just try a couple more things here. I'll leave this to you, but you should put a couple things in there and just temporary test it and see if you can get those things showing up. Okay, so put some spiders, some gold, some wumpuses, stuff like that right here, just temporarily right there, and see if they show up correctly where they're supposed to be. Okay, and then next video we'll start here, and we'll worry about we'll do that working toolbar and get it so that we can click and put things at specific locations and that the hints pop up when you place something. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you've finished this and you're ready to move on, go ahead and move on to video number 3. Okay, thanks for watching.